Air Force General jokes about Janitor's call sign, but Skyhawk leaves everyone shocked. Watch how humble Janitor Alex Harper stuns Edwards Air Force Base pilots. Subscribe, like and share for more inspiring stories. So let's begin. At Edwards Air Force Base, the sun was just beginning to rise over the sprawling hangars. The morning air smelled of jet fuel and oil, and the low hum of engines being prepped for training flights filled the base. Most of the squadron gathered for the weekly briefing, discussing missions and schedules. Alex Harper, the base janitor, quietly pushed a mop across the polished hangar floor. He moved with practiced efficiency, careful not to disturb the pilots who were already joking and laughing among themselves. Despite his unassuming presence, his calm demeanor seemed to carry an air of quiet authority, though no one knew why. General Thompson entered the hangar, his polished boots echoing against the concrete. The pilots straightened, some saluting out of habit, others smiling nervously. Known for his stern personality, the general rarely joked, yet today he decided to break the tension. "Morning, team," he called out, scanning the room. His gaze landed on Alex. The general smirked and waved his hand. "Hey, Harper, you're always here cleaning floors. Tell me, what's your call sign? Mop Master?" Laughter erupted around the hangar, a few pilots slapping their knees. Alex didn't flinch. He paused for a moment, mop in hand. All eyes turned toward him. His response was calm, steady, and unexpected. "Skyhawk," he said quietly. The hangar went silent. Laughter died in mid-air, replaced by puzzled murmurs. The pilots exchanged glances, whispering. Nobody expected that answer. A janitor with the call sign Skyhawk, something didn't add up. General Thompson froze, his hand mid-gesture, realizing he might have underestimated the man in front of him. "Skyhawk?" he repeated, voice sharp but tinged with curiosity. Alex nodded without looking up, continuing to mop. It was clear he didn't seek attention. The weight of his past seemed to demand respect without words. Some of the younger pilots leaned toward each other, whispering questions. Skyhawk? Wasn't he the one on the classified missions last year? "I heard he flew with Delta Squadron on those high-risk recon flights." Murmurs rippled across the room. Even officers who prided themselves on knowing everything were stunned. The general walked slowly toward Alex, studying him closely. There was something in the way Alex held himself, a disciplined posture that didn't match the casual uniform of a janitor. His eyes were sharp, scanning the room, always aware. Every detail mattered, even the smallest movements. It was the precision of someone trained to survive impossible situations. Alex finally stopped mopping, leaning on the handle. His calm gaze met General Thompson's. "I served before," he said softly. "Now I serve differently." The brevity of his words carried a quiet weight. Everyone in the hangar realized this wasn't a man to be judged by appearances. The janitor was, in truth, a hero whose deeds had been hidden from public view. The pilots watched in awe as Alex pushed the mop aside. He moved like a man at ease in his environment, yet the aura around him suggested he could take command of any situation instantly. General Thompson's jaw tightened. He knew this man's reputation. It was time to re-evaluate everything they thought they knew about him. By the end of the briefing, whispers continued, speculation growing louder. Alex returned to his cleaning, silently accepting newfound respect. Pilots began to nod at him with recognition, realizing he had once flown the missions that now inspired them. Skyhawk, the janitor, had silently reminded them that true heroes often went unnoticed. The sun was beginning to set over Edwards Air Force Base, painting the hangars in shades of gold and orange. The day's missions were over, and pilots returned to their quarters, still whispering about Alex Harper. The janitor, however, moved quietly through the empty corridors, mop in hand, like nothing had changed. Officers who had lingered in the hangar approached cautiously. Captain Reynolds, a young pilot, finally gathered the courage to speak. "Alex," "Are you really Skyhawk?" he asked, voice low. Alex paused, a faint smile touching his lips. "I flew before," he said softly. "Now I serve differently. That's all anyone needs to know." Curiosity got the better of Lieutenant Harris, who leaned closer. "But your missions, the awards, the rescues, you saved lives we only read about in reports," he said. Alex simply nodded, eyes calm. "I did what was required. Recognition wasn't important then, and it isn't important now," he replied, almost as if it were a matter of principle. Some of the more senior officers exchanged glances, their respect for him growing rapidly. They had trained with heroes, but rarely did someone appear in front of them who had done what Alex had, and yet remained so humble. His quiet confidence left everyone unsettled, yet inspired. A few curious pilots followed him to his locker, where they noticed faded mission patches, old flight logs, and commendations. Each item told a story: daring rescues behind enemy lines, high-risk reconnaissance over restricted zones, and missions never publicly acknowledged. The evidence of Alex's extraordinary past made jaws drop and hearts swell with admiration. Even General Thompson, still in his office, watched from a distance. He had underestimated Alex before, thinking him just a simple janitor. Now he realized that bravery and skill didn't always come with medals or rank. Sometimes the most extraordinary heroes walked among them, unnoticed, wielding humility as their shield. By evening, word of Skyhawk spread across the base like wildfire. Pilots whispered stories of Alex's past missions, weaving legends into reality. The janitor moved, through it all with ease, never boasting, never claiming praise. It became clear to everyone that Alex Harper had redefined the meaning of service, showing them the quiet power of true dedication. A few pilots approached him for advice on handling pressure during missions. "Focus on the task, not the recognition," Alex said. "Your job is to serve, not to impress. Stay disciplined, respect your team, and remember why you fly." His words, simple yet profound, resonated deeply with those who had always sought glory, but now realized humility carried its own weight. That night, the hangar was quiet, the echoes of jets long gone. Alex returned to mopping, but the energy around him had changed. The squadron no longer saw him as just a janitor. They saw a mentor, a legend, and a living testament to courage. Skyhawk had returned in plain sight, without a hint of showmanship. As the moon rose over the base, General Thompson walked toward Alex once more. He offered a salute, this time with genuine respect. "Thank you for your service, Alex. Your bravery inspires us all," he said. Alex nodded silently, his eyes reflecting the moonlight, content in knowing that actions often speak louder than words, and true heroes leave lasting impressions without seeking them. The base would never forget that day. From whispered stories to shared admiration, Alex Harper became a symbol of quiet heroism at Edwards Air Force Base. Skyhawk, the janitor, had reminded everyone that courage isn't always loud, and sometimes the most extraordinary deeds come from the most ordinary appearances.